Shaquille O'Neal, with a net worth of $400 million, has certainly made the most of being over 7 feet tall and over 300 pounds. Dude is huge, predictably by also being extremely good at basketball, free throws notwithstanding. For most people, a massive headliner basketball salary is more than enough, even though those fortunes have often found themselves mismanaged. O'Neal has a few of those telltale stories of excess, like dropping $1 million in a day, setting up himself and his immediate family with houses and Mercedes-Benz, or when he had a one-day shopping tally of $70,000 at Walmart, of all places. He even bought the Sacramento Kings when they were playing in an arena sponsored by Power Balance, the people who sell copper bracelets. But don't take those stories of excess to mean that O'Neal will be on the sad end of a liquidation auction, because the big man has also gone big on some shrewd investments, including a pre-IPO buy of Google stock. Yeah, in 1998, O'Neal walked away from a $40 million endorsement deal with Reebok because the brand was making shoes that most of his fans couldn't afford. Now he's come back to Reebok, but he's looking at the big chair. With the investment group ABG, or Authentic Brands Group, he dropped $2.4 billion to buy Reebok the brand. What kind of athlete can afford a $54 million estate? Well, golf is a plodding sport played on manicured grounds by rich people in bad clothes. Or a good walk ruined, some say. Either way, it's hard to imagine a sport where the biggest excursion is a brisk stroll to the ball, as a sport that can make its champions millions of dollars. But rich people like it, and rich people get to decide what sports are on TV. Every once in a while, a golfer comes along who's amazing enough and large enough to be exciting even to people who don't watch golf. They can even make combining tea and lemonade popular. That's an Arnold Palmer, if you weren't guessing. There's no drinks named after Tiger Woods, but he has brought attention to the sport, even if his married life hasn't exactly been country club discreet, and acquired a net worth of $800 million to boot. You can imagine wanting a place all your own to get away from all the attention, right? Woods spent $40 million on a 12-acre estate on Juniper Island. No big deal. Except then he leveled the already expensive mansion already on the land to erect $15 million worth of his own lavish living quarters, including a golf training center and a golf course. There's even a home for his $20 million yacht Privacy on the other end of the island. Well, la-dee-da, Mr. Woods. People can argue who the GOAT or greatest of all time is at sports bars and hangouts until the end of time, but only one player has had his name become synonymous with being the GOAT, and that's Michael Jordan. Enough of a GOAT to have a staggering net worth of $1.6 billion. When you want to say someone is the best at something, you say they're the Jordan of doing that thing, right? Jordan is not just the Jordan of basketball. He's the Jordan of endorsements. Today, many of the million-dollar players are spending their millions on shoes with his name on it. Still, he's also the Jordan of spending that money. That includes dropping a cool $61 million on a Gulfstream G550 private jet, originally decorated with his Chicago number, as well as his Dream Team number, but now sports the elephant skin design from his shoes. After all, it's the plane that Shoes bought. This purchase inspired some of his Bulls teammates, but not with stellar results. Scottie Pippen dropped a still significant $4.3 million on a Gulfstream of his own, but wasn't aware that it was a fixer-upper, and required over $1 million worth of work just to get it back in the air again. Undefeated boxer Floyd Mayweather has managed to earn the middle name money, both by making it and by spending it, hitting a net worth of $450 million. That includes a $16 million jewelry purchase that's so insane it may not have happened. Or did it? You know, when you're talking about a piece of jewelry that expensive, it has a fancy name. In this case, it has a rare 27.64 karat blue diamond that was revealed in 2000 as part of the De Beers Millennium Collection named the Heart of Eternity. That's the kind of name you can say wistfully as you toss it off the stern of a research vessel outfitted to find a necklace you've had on you the entire time. Rose from Titanic is a troll, is what I'm saying. Want to fight about it? De Beers sold the necklace in 2013, and the rumor is that they sold it to Mayweather for $16 million as a gift to his then-fiancée, Chantel Jackson. That's 4 Bugattis in one necklace. Yikes. Iron Mike Tyson might be one of the most dynamic heavyweight boxers to have ever stepped in the ring, becoming notorious for his fights that had to be clocked in seconds as he knocked out opponent after opponent. His knockout blows aren't even the craziest thing about him. He's also become notorious for bad decisions with really high price tags, including rare white tigers. By now, though, we all know that people buying rare tigers is the least weird thing about the exotic tiger trade, but Tyson still has some moves. Tyson's marriage to Robin Givens made a lot of headlines, but one of the odder ones was a $410,000 birthday party that included a bathtub as a gift. How do you make a bathtub a gift, you ask? Well, it has to be a $2 million bathtub, of course. This was part of what sent the boxer, who had earned $400 million, to eventually file bankruptcy. Now he's estimated to be worth $3 million. The line between the jocks and the geeks have been blurred over the last years as Marvel Comics has gone from geeky favorite to full pop culture juggernaut. Even before that, you have Shaquille O'Neal, who's such a big Superman fan, he had a custom Superman bed made that's larger than my apartment. NBA star Danny Granger, with his net worth of $45 million, is not to be outdone, having crafted his own Batcave in his house. He drew inspiration from the Tim Burton Batcave, as with features from the Nolan Batman trilogy, including the light-up tunnel and the rotating platform for the car. No word on whether or not he has managed to acquire a Batmobile to complete the look, but the plan also included having the island the car parks on rising up into a display case in his actual house. One thing Granger hasn't adopted was Bruce Wayne's idea of keeping his cave a secret. You can't announce you're Batman, dude. That's not how it works. Tanks of sharks are generally speaking reserved for Bond villains, or people who have invented an in-shoe foot massager. But when the exotic pet bar has been set so high with Mike Tyson housing white tigers, it's hard to find a way to up the ante without making a pet out of the ocean's apex predators. Well, almost apex. Orcas sit on top, and owning an orca just motivates a precocious kid to help free it. Gilbert Arena already had a knack for spending the $163 million he earned in the NBA, including the $111 million he took from his contract with the Wizards, only to take the court 55 times. All good for a net worth of $20 million. His $3.5 million estate got a swimming pool, complete with grotto and water slide, and his kids were treated to $60,000 shopping sprees at FAO Schwartz. That can buy a lot of oversized piano keyboards. While it's not clear how much the shark installation cost him, keeping him in sharks was no small expense. Not only did he have to spend a lot on feeding, but also had to hire someone specifically to care for them. In all, he was spending just shy of $80,000 a year just to have sharks. Imagine if he had sprung for the frickin' lasers on their frickin' heads? It's hard to stand out as a rich person with a car collection. All the usual suspects of hypercars filled with exotic materials and performance stats you'd need to be Lewis Hamilton to unlock start to blend together. How do you get your one of 3 Paganis to be more impressive than that one of 1 Bugatti? Exotic hypercars are passé. New York Knicks sixth man J.R. Smith took his $35 million net worth and went in another direction. Instead of a fragile hypercar that needs a new luxury car's worth of maintenance, should you dare drive it down to cars and coffee, Smith went with the most indestructible thing he could find, a $450,000 Gurkha F5 armored truck. It's the kind of vehicle Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson drove in Fast 5. Built in Ontario by Terradine Armored Vehicles, there are 3 configurations for rapid deployment, as well as a 4th for civilian use, designated the Clev for those with the extra money who not only want to feel safe on the road, they also want to be a source of terror for those in lesser vehicles. The game of one-upsmanship is hard to play when you're in the rarefied air of bona fide sports stars. Already we've seen massive estates, elaborate fan caves, indestructible trucks, and exotic ocean pets. It would be crazy to try and big-time these big spenders, especially when it's another contender for the title of GOAT, Kobe Bryant. Somehow poker star Antonio the Magician Esfandiari thought he'd get in on the action during the opening of Blush Boutique nightclub in Las Vegas. The poker player had ordered up 2 $1,400 bottles of Cristal champagne, prompting the basketball legend to order 5 of his own. Kobe won't be outdone on court or in overly extravagant alcohol purchases. The magician conjured up his order to 10 to keep pace with Kobe, who answered with an increased order that totaled 15 bottles, ringing in at $21,000. Then, in true baller style, left without drinking any of it. That's what a $600 million net worth will get you. Just seems wasteful though, doesn't it? Sleeping with the fishes wasn't supposed to be a good thing, but that's because the Carleones hadn't met Wade King and Brett Raymer of acrylic tank manufacturing, and the stars of the custom fish tank building show tanked on Animal Planet. That's who NFL player Chad Ochocinco with his $15 million net worth went to, when a simple shark tank just wasn't enough to be the craziest aquatic collector in sports. Ochocinco tasked King and Raymer to build his fiancée a special bed that had a fish tank built into it. This is not just a collection of tropicals at the headboard. The tank extends over the bed in an arc, allowing fiancée Evelyn Lozada, formerly of her own reality TV show Basketball Wives, to lay in bed and stare up at the fishies. Something Ochocinco says that she does a lot of since the bed was made. Big NFL fans themselves, the tanked stars were delighted to work for the star and called him really down to earth, as long as that earth includes a custom fish tank of unknown value that arches over your bed.